Shavua Tov Mevarach Mishnah Yomi is holding in Chagigah, chapter 3, Mishnah 5, Mishnah Hey. We're on the topic of Tuma and Tahara. We've so far in this parak discussed some stringencies of kodshim, of sacrificial items that don't apply to Truma, and even some stringencies of Truma, because people are believed to say that their kodshim, items they're bringing to the temple to give to the temple to sacrifice, are actually pure, because people are very, very careful when they're donating something to the temple to make sure it stays pure, even if by Truma and other items maybe they're not as careful. Now Mishnah Hey continues that thought. Minha Modi'it V'lifnim, from the town of Modi'it. Now this apparently is 15 mil, approximately 15 kilometers outside of Yerushalayim. I don't think it's Modi'in. There's a place that was called Modi'it, so from that area and inwards, and in a distance within 15 mil in all directions to Yerushalayim, Ne'amanin, we believe everyone, al kli cheres, on an earthenware kli, meaning we believe the potter, the seller who's making things like pots and jars and cups and small utensils that would be used by people going up for Chag, going up for the festival, to be used in the temple to eat their kodshim in. So even if the seller of these kelim, these utensils in Am Haaretz, who's normally not very careful, the fact that he's living very close to Yerushalayim, and the fact that these items are to be used with kodshim, means we can believe him. Now the Bartanura brings another reason. It's not just because people are careful with things that are used in the temple, but it's also because in Yerushalayim itself, in that city, we don't make kivshonot. Kivshonot is like a large kiln because of the smoke. Our sages made a gezerah, a decree, and it's a very environmentalist type decree, not to have large ovens, large kilns in Yerushalayim or next to Yerushalayim, because the smoke will darken the stones and the walls and make Yerushalayim not as beautiful as it is. So the Bartanura explains it's not just because people are more careful with items that are used in the temple, but it's also because if we couldn't buy small kelim to bring to the temple, we'd have a big problem. As we actually mentioned when we were discussing Mishkan Shiloh, is they found a lot of broken earthenware kelim all around the hills that could see the site of Mishkan Shiloh, but not on the other side where you couldn't see it. And that's because they had to eat kodshim kalim where they could see Mishkan Shiloh. And Yerushalayim, and they're broken for a reason, because after the kodshim is absorbed in these cups and these plates and these pots, then it becomes notar. After the time limit is up to eat the kodshim, you also have to break the kli. And this is in an earthenware kli where you can't kasher it, you can't get out the bliel, to the absorbed tastes. So that's why they found the broken earthenware kelim, and that's why we need to believe people for kelim that are used in the temple, used for kodshim, that they are tahorim, they are prepared in ritual purity. So otherwise, we have to break the kelim anyway, and it would be very difficult to obtain kelim that we need for the festival. And the Mishnah brings the contrary, minamodiit lachutz, outside of this 15 mil radius, ein nemanim. We don't believe people. Ketzad, what's an example of this radius being effective? Hakodar, a potter who makes pots, shehu mocher kederot, and he's selling his pots. Nichnas lifnim minamodit, and he goes within 15 kilometers of Yerushalayim. Hu hakodar v'henek kederot lochim ne'eman. If it's the potter himself who made it, and the pots that he brought in himself, he's not importing somebody else's pots or bringing in selling other pots, and the buyers see him enter this 15 mil radius, we can believe him that they are tahorim. He has made them for the purpose of people using them in Yerushalayim for kodshim. So we accept he's going to be careful. We have really no other option because we need kelim for the temple. Yotza, if he goes outside of this 15 mil radius, eno ne'eman, even though it's the exact same pots, but the gezerah was dafka within this 15 mil radius. And Mishnah Vav continues, ha-gabayim. Gabayim is actually a gabay, works at the shul, gives aliyahs, collects pledges. These gabayim are tax collectors, and often they were working for a non-Jewish government, and they were given permission to go into people's houses and assess them for taxes. Lo alena, we should be saved from such things. They entered a Jewish home where they had tahor items. And so to Jewish thieves, that are returning what they stole. It's an amazing thing. These are thieves who are doing tshuva. the Bartenura points out it's not because they're afraid of being punished, but because they're mamish, like maybe it's Erev Yom Kippur, they're mamish doing tshuva, and they're coming and they're apologizing, and they're bringing back the kelim that they stole from the house. We believe them to say we didn't touch it. Now, obviously, the thief picked up the pot when he stole it, but what it means, if it's a kli cheres, an earthenware utensil, then touching the outside does not affect the purity of the inside. So if the thief is doing tshuva and he's trying to get right with God, then we believe him to say he didn't touch what's inside the pot before he returned it. And the Mishnah concludes an amazing thing. In Yerushalayim, we trust everyone about Kodesh. So you could obtain Kodshim-related items from anyone, even in Am Haaretz, and know that they are pure. We trust them, they're pure. First of all, people are very careful there. And second, we don't really have a choice. We have to have kelim for the temple. B'shata regel, afal truma. And during regel, during the festivals, when Am Yisrael is coming up and being Ole Regel, there's a lot of Kohanim there, there's a lot of Truma, Meiser Sheni also, but a lot of Truma there. We believe them even for Truma. And the Bartenura brings from the Gemara a scriptural basis for this injunction. The Yosef kol ish Yisrael el ha'ir, all of the men of Israel gathered to the city, to Jerusalem, ki ish echad chaverim. They were united like one man, and they were chaverim. Now, chaverim is the sort of the name that we give for people who are scrupulous and very careful with Tumah and Tahara. So what happens is during the Shata Regel, during the Asifa, we consider everyone chaverim. First of all, people are very careful before they go to Yerushalayim, even if the rest of the year they're not careful. And second of all, when everyone's together, it's hard to avoid touching. If we would make a gezerah, if we'd extend our gezerah on an Am Haaretz, that his things are tameh, to situations where everyone's bumping into each other, it's crowded in the shuk, people are buying and selling and touching and inspecting, it would be practically impossible for people to remain tahor during the festival. And the takeaway message here, it's clear and it's profound, is that when Jews come together, we are one family, we are chaverim, we are comrades, we are together, we have achdut, we have unity, even though we're different, and we might have different levels of observance, we have different customs, different backgrounds, but when we get together in the festival, in Yerushalayim, in the temple, we are truly united. Baruch Hashem, we've seen a great unity among the Jewish people, and it shall only continue and grow until we are together in a rebuilt Yerushalayim in our temple together. Zay Gezod, Shavua Tov.